Today, we say goodbye to a legend, a man whose fists spoke in a ring, and whose warmth captured hearts outside of it. George Foreman, the two-time world heavyweight champion, Olympic gold medalist, entrepreneur, preacher, and icon, has passed away at the age of 76. George Edward Foreman was born on January 10, 1949, in Marshall, Texas. Raised in Houston's Fifth Ward, George grew up in poverty and on the streets. By his own admission, he was a troubled youth, but everything changed when he joined the Job Corps at 16. There he discovered boxing, and once he put on the gloves, the world would never forget his name. Soundbite: commentator from 1968 Olympics, Foreman wins a gold. In 1968, Foreman won Olympic gold in Mexico City. Just a few years later, in 1973, he shocked the world by defeating the undefeated Joe Frazier to become the heavyweight champion of the world. He knocked Frazier down 6 times in just 2 rounds. But perhaps George's most famous fight came in 1974, the Rumble in the Jungle, when he faced Muhammad Ali in Zaire, the young, powerful champion against the older, wiser Ali. In one of boxing's most iconic upsets, Ali knocked out Foreman in the 8th round. It was a loss that sent George down a path of reflection and ultimately transformation. In 1977, Foreman retired from boxing after a life-changing near-death experience in the locker room following a fight. He became a born-again Christian and spent the next decade preaching and working with youth. Most thought they'd seen the last of George Foreman in the ring. But in 1987, at the age of 38, Foreman made an astonishing comeback. Not just to the ring, but to the top. And in 1994, at age 45, he became the oldest fighter to ever win the heavyweight championship, knocking out Michael Moorer. He did it wearing the same red trunks from the Rumble in the Jungle 20 years earlier. But George Foreman wasn't just a fighter. He was a businessman, a television personality, and an unlikely pop culture icon. The George Foreman Grill, which debuted in the mid-90s, became a household name, selling over 100 million units. It turned Foreman into one of the most successful athlete endorsers in history. He was known for his smile, his humility, and his love for family, famously naming all 5 of his sons George in some form. He once said, "I named all my sons George Edward Foreman so they would always have something in common, and so they'd all have to share the same name on the bills." George Foreman's story is one of grit, redemption, and reinvention. From Olympic gold to world championships, from a pulpit to an infomercial, George never stopped fighting for greatness, for purpose, and for people. He inspired generations, not just with punches, but with passion and perseverance. George Foreman is survived by his wife, children, grandchildren, and millions of fans across the globe. Tonight, the world of boxing dims the lights, but his legacy will shine forever. Rest in peace, Big George. You were truly one of a kind.